We really enjoyed being in St Helena. Visiting places like this makes our trip so very valuable.
Bring me there, bring me there.
2 meter motor. Time to go. Bridle, yeah, bridle is off. Now the engines are off. The wind's still coming from the other side. It won't be long before the wind will change radically. That's getting a little bit bumpy here. We're probably close to the point where the wind will change. I love it when the wind does what I asked him to do, or expect him to do at least. From 280 to 100 seconds. It's quite okay now, hoor. Seems stabler with Villatali. What's a Villatali in English? Change to the other side. PMG is higher. And we think that there's enough wind on this side as well, but well. And they even named a mountain under the sea to Napoleon as well. 3:30. Almost 1700 miles to go to Recife. There's the birdie. Slowly getting light already.
I was a little bit afraid that the last part of the Gliwo would be focused too much on crossings, but actually the places that we are visiting, like South Africa, Namibia, and now this Saint Helena, and we're really looking forward to the Carnival in Brazil. That makes it very special. And then, because at least the last crossing is so easy, it is not a big problem. So actually also this last part of the Gliwo is a lot better than expected. If you look at the forecast, it's wise to go a little bit more north to catch some more wind. But we also learned that you never know whether the forecast will be truth or not. You have to be pretty sure if you go a lot more north and you make 50 or 100 miles more, that you make that up with the speed.
Joost managed to get bananas after all. It's always difficult to find everything on a small island like that where provisioning isn't easy. It's our slowest crossing so far. 7.6 over the first 150 miles. So we're gonna jibe again. So I loosened this one already. We keep that to keep the sheet lower. Alright, puts the guy back in the middle. So now I have to loosen the two lines to get the spinnaker down. That we fix to prevent them from being completely entangled. So in 160 now, pulled it a little bit further that way, a little bit further to windward. Now there's just a knot more wind, and we will probably be able to go deeper with keeping the speed up. With not a lot of wind, it's easy to do it just the two of us, but it kind of wakes you up anyway, so Joost comes out to help every time. Zakken, zikke, zakken. It's quite unusual for us. Normally we just go straight. The wind is not enough for the symmetrical spinnaker. We would go 7 knots, and our VMG is now 9.5.
Kijk mama, zonnehandjes.
The wind is turning again towards 125, 130 even, and then it's much better to be on the other tack. So for the 5th or 6th time, I think so. We're going to jibe again, and in the meantime, well, we're getting a little bit practice. So let's see.
She's bringing the boom to the middle of the boat to prepare the gybe. There she is. And meanwhile, Mark is waiting. Yeah, there was the plop. De jib. So they...
Kijk hem eerst even een stukje naar beneden, deze.
And then he's doing a little bit further and then a little bit back.
Oh, we're waiting for the sun to come out there at the horizon. We got just a little tiny bit more wind. It was more between 12 and 13 instead of between 10 and 11 as it was so far, and that immediately increased our speed a lot. We've been really lucky that the forecast was not correct. We chose to stay close to the Greatcircle course, and the wind really helped us. It was 40 degrees different than forecasted, much more from the south. So our actual speed has been more or less the same as our VMG, the speed in which we are going to our destination.
Enough wind is enough. We don't need wind where we need to reef. If we can keep the full sails on during the night, then we can also make up for a lot of speed. But we try to go north always when the wind is favorable to go in that direction. It's always a question, are we going with the spinnaker into the night? But the conditions here on the southern Atlantic Ocean are so good that we don't feel it as a risk. Mark is always sleeping in the saloon to make sure that there are always 2 persons immediately ready to take action if necessary.
So we just judged. There is a little bit more wind in the meantime. So in the total trip, our average is 7.7. And today, since midnight, 8.2. It's Friday, the 2nd of February. And we're about 20 degrees off course. So that's 20 degrees is not a lot. If you look at the difference between speed over ground and VMG, so the speed that you're doing in the direction of your target, in this case it's VMG to the waypoint, it's really only a couple of tenths. Once the difference in direction gets more than 30 degrees, then you have to be pretty fast. There are tables. I will try to include the table where it says how much faster you have to go once you have a certain steer angle between the course that you're following and the direction where you are supposed to go. We have never done this before. Doesn't look really stable. With a fly with the A2. Our VMG is just between 4 and 5 and we had 6 before, so we're going back to one side, but the wind is exactly from the back. I don't think it's gonna work. I released the downhole. That of course makes it possible to open up a little bit more, but we thought that was a little bit too risky. So we chose a side again. Oh, now it's 22 degrees in the wrong direction. First boat in 2 days. This is a ship of Mars. Maybe one that doesn't want to go to the Red Sea anymore. I spied my little eye, and it starts with W. Water.
So Mark is getting pretty bored after a couple of days without doing a lot except for jibing. And then he has a plan to put the drone in the air and film the fact that we are jibing. The drone is following the boat, but it was actually focused on the spinnaker. So when we took the spinnaker down, the drone suddenly came a lot closer. And of course, we were not focused on that when we were working on the boat. But later on, when we saw the move, we were like, ooh, that could have gone wrong.
Drop in the ocean, just a flash in the night, just a soul among billions, with no place to hide. The world keeps turning around.
Het is zwaar, hè?
We're sleeping safe and sound.
Oh man, dat is hard werken.
There's still a long way to go.
This crossing we spend a lot of time on the foredeck, which we normally never do because it's a very wet place on an ocean. But now it is perfect.
Zeg je oefening baart kunst in het Engels? Hè?
Dat is geen idee.
Ik ook niet. There's a Dutch saying, oefening baart kunst. If you try something a lot, then in the end you get really good at it. We're gonna have a look whether Joost will be pulled into the air this time, or he manages to stay on the trampoline. So we loosen the lines that we did tie to the sides. to prevent them from twisting. First thing we do is lower the sock. Marijke is going to release the sheet. The sail is going to collapse, and at that point Joost will pull the sock down. And after that Marijke will jibe the mainsail, sheet loose. It's going to collapse. Ah, good job, good job! Come on, come on! Almost there. We keep switching the sheet in order not to have too many lines up there. So we loosen the old sheet and we already prepared the other sheet. So now the new sheet went through the black line, and that's going to be a serious problem. They saw it in time. When Marijke jives the main, the sock will automatically be blown to the other side. Open the clutch, keep it in our hand, and then steer about 40-50 degrees. No, it's not a big issue. And Joost already managed in this low wind to get the sock all the way here. And the thing now for him is that he stays with the black lines, that he stays on the inside of the sheet. It still looks strange, like there's always a twist here around the tack. If he pulls the black line and the sock will go up, it will automatically correct itself. There's a risk that the sock will twist in the wind itself or when pulling it up, and you just pull it a little bit down again and up, and then it's most of the times okay. Even naar beneden trekken. You see? Now the sock was a bit twisted. He pulls it a bit down and now he pulls it up again. Rustig trekken, rustig. Je trekt te snel. Je moet hem tijd geven. He was pulling too fast, and then you have additional risk that the sock will twist a bit. And then the last part is put the barber holder on. Keeps more tension on the clew, and it prevents the sheet from hooking behind the stanchion cords.
Trimming the sail.
Well, the goal is, especially with low winds, to keep it as round as possible, and then if possible without any lines moving from left to right. The sea is pretty calm, but there are kind of annoying waves, so you'll never be able to keep that through all the time. So you have to find a compromise where it's as good as possible most of the times. We had only 8 or 9 knots this afternoon. Still going, but could use a couple of knots more. Another morning. It is Monday morning now, and finally we got some decent wind. Less than 1,000 miles to go. The sailing is pretty easy here on board, much less so for Moonshot and Awan. Trying to get to the Miami boat show in time and having significant headwinds. The A2 is still on. Well, we raised it when we just left Saint Helena, and that's been done 12 times just to make a jibe again. It's normally as soon as we start talking about jibing, the wind shifts 30 degrees to the wrong side, but this time everything worked out. Gaan daar al die dingen van bewegen bij jou in je buik?
Ik zal niet weten.
Bij jou zit allemaal relief, zeg maar.
Echt?
Ja. We have a couple of knots more than we had yesterday, so this sail is a lot better. Of course, the moment I say it, it goes back to 12 knots. The angle is not 100% yet, but we're waiting for a good moment where we can head a little bit further north. Every time the wind drops a little bit, we just steer up a couple of degrees. And usually it makes a huge difference. We still have to keep the apparent wind above 7 knots if possible. That'll make a difference. Well, it's 8.8 now. And we kind of said to each other, as soon as apparent wind goes structurally above 10, then we will change the A2 for the Jenniker. It's the 6th day, A2 is on. Mathieu was warning us about wear on the spinnaker halyard if you use it this long.
Yeah. When the return line of the snuffer gets stuck behind the radar reflector completely in the top of the mast, Joost offers to go in, and I'm so happy that he did it because it is an exhausting exercise going in the mast with waves. And he comes back extremely tired and covered in bruises. We use our headsets for communication, and that makes a huge difference. Otherwise you constantly have to shout to one another.
Klasse. Klasse, man.
Almost me in the brook. So a small part, the outside cover is damaged. So for the time being I have to make a sort of a temporary repair.
Can I take a look?
It was a small tear in the spinnaker when we jibed. So luckily we saw it and immediately took the spinnaker down. So it is repairable. It's not a big one. It's like, I think this big, not bigger. So we took it down, checked the halyards, and we saw this. Now we are going to continue on the downwind Jenniker. But first I want a decent solution for this. So downwind Jenniker is ready. We made a repair of the cover of the halyard. Now we can hoist it.
Serious workout. First we wanted to jibe the A2, and then the moment we were hoisting it on the other side we saw a little tear close to the luff. It is only 30 centimeters or something like that, but it would rip the whole sail if we would have put it all the way up. It was already halfway up and a lot of power in the sail, and then we had to take it down. I couldn't hold the never-ending line even. We had to swing it back on board. I was able to grab it, pulling on the wrong side of course first, and then in the end I managed to get it down. We loosened the halyard, so it was on deck, and then we had time to think of solutions. And then we saw that the halyard was damaged as well already. But we had it up for 6 days in a row, 6 days and nights. And Michelle was already saying, well, with the same halyard and questions like that. Of course, we gave him some wise-ass response or whatever. Just because of the rip in the sail, we were able to inspect the halyard and it was damaged already. The captain managed to repair it pretty well, I guess. So
We're going to check it tomorrow.
yeah, we're gonna check it tomorrow, but we're still using the same halyard as is the one that we need for the Jenniker as well, otherwise it wouldn't fit. Our advantage over the other boats will diminish shortly. Our lead was about 50 miles, but it's Tuesday evening now and we still have 700 miles to go. I guess the 5-axis will be 2 knots faster per hour by tomorrow. They will have caught us. Unless there's going to be a lot of wind, but it's not really in the forecast. With a lot of wind, the difference between this setup with the Jenniker and the A2 will be limited.
In the next episode, we are going to continue this beautiful, relaxed trip.